Let's be really loud. Yes, let's do it. Okay, are we ready? All right, here we go. I'm going to be really loud. Gay converted man here. All right, I exploded all the cats. All right, found a video to do a video about. Yeah! Popery podcast poop. Here we go. Who created God? Humans did. Thanks for watching, everybody. All right.
One of the most common arguments I hear against Christianity and against religion more broadly is this idea that we don't need a creator. If you say, hey, creation needs a creator,
if you say creation needs a creator, you are doing a circular argument. And you're also pre-assuming that there's a creation in the first place.
the response is also, well, who made God or who created God? In fact,
no, this is of course not the response to that. This is a response to if you say everything needs a creator or everything needs to be created, then you're going to ask, well, who created God? Okay. But if you say, well, the universe needs a creator, okay, cool. And then you say, well, there's a God. And say, well, okay, well, but who made God? Well, nothing made God. Oh, it came from nothing? No. God has always existed. Why? It's just that's how it is. Okay, but why? So it's special pleading. It's a response to the fact that in order to say that the universe needs to be created, but the thing that made the universe doesn't need to be created, that is special pleading of some sort. That this category of thing that you are imagining that made the universe, and it is imagination, that has different requirements than the universe does for creation. That it can have always existed, but the universe or whatever the singularity or whatever's that stuff is, that needs to be created, but that the creator of that doesn't need to be created itself is special pleading. So that's what it's in response to. It's not an argument against religion, it is, or God or Christianity or anything. It is a statement about the fact that you are doing a logical fallacy of special pleading.
in fact, this is such a common problem, it has its own Wikipedia entry called The Problem of the Creator of God. You'll find versions of this from some of the better known atheists, but I encountered it recently on Twitter or ex Twitter, and I liked the way the problem was presented because it was clear. The person, the atheist, responded, if you say everything must have a creator, their response is, well, if everything must have a creator, then your God needs a creator, and his creator needs a creator, and so on ad infinitum. But if you say everything except God needs a creator, then allegedly, you're making special exceptions just to keep your false beliefs intact. Your fallacy is called special pleading. Look it up.
Yes, exactly. I wouldn't say that you're doing it just to keep your false beliefs intact. I don't know why you're doing it. But yes, if you say that everything except for X needs to be created, then that is special pleading.
Well, I've actually studied logic, and that's not what special pleading is.
Yes, it actually is. That is actually what special pleading is. I don't think that you've studied logic, but maybe you have, and maybe you just forgot what special pleading is. So I wonder if you're gonna, you know, define it or not, or go into that. But I'll tell you what it is. It's an informal fallacy where one cites something as an exception to a general or universal principle without justifying the special exception. It's the application of a double standard, essentially. So everything needs a cause, except for this one thing. This thing doesn't need a cause. And then that's it. You don't explain why that doesn't need a cause. You just say, oh, that's just how it is. Blaster Master, Dirty Rodent are in the house. Yeah. All right, back to the video.
Now I can show at a glance why this objection doesn't work, or we can take kind of a deeper dive. Let's start with kind of the
Wait.
at a glance.
No. You said it wasn't special pleading. Outline how it's not special pleading. Oh, he didn't do that. Okay. Wonder why.
So imagine you're driving.
Why are we doing this thought experiment? Okay, here we go.
You approach a railroad crossing. You don't see the start of the train. You just see one passenger car after another flying by.
Uh-huh.
Now, even though you don't see the front of the train,
Yeah.
you can know to a great degree of certainty that the train has a front with an engine.
All right. Well, this analogy works for trains because we know how trains work, and doesn't apply to the universe. So, yeah, this appeal to analogy is irrelevant. But since we're here, what if you had a train track that went all around the world, right? And you had one car after the other, right? And now you'd have to get those things moving somehow, right? But once they were in motion, all the cars would be in motion unless another force acted upon it to make them no longer in motion, right? So if every single car was motorized to keep it in motion, then every single car of the train is an engine. And there is no start of the train because they all started at the same time and they're all the head of the train. And since the train is a continuous thing in a circumference around the world, then there's no start or end to the train. Oh, I just completely blew your stupid analogy out of the water.
Engine. After all, you know two things. Number one, the passenger cars or box cars or whatever they are, they can pull the cars behind them, but they can't pull themselves. Instead,
they can if they're motorized.
They've got to be pulled by someone or something else. Well, number two, you know that there can't just be an infinite number.
Why not? Why can't there just be an infinite number? And if you had railroad cars around the world, it wouldn't be an infinite number, granted, because infinite number isn't a thing anyways, but it'd certainly be a large number. I don't know. Might be fun to see what that would look like. Like, what would a train around the world look like? I don't know. Let's see. Google knows. No, that doesn't. Okay, Google doesn't know. Hey, maybe Chatbot thingy knows. I don't know. What did you know? Let's see. Okay. Oh my God. No. Oh jeez. It's just telling me how to do it. All right. No, that's not. Oh fuck. Okay. Whatever. Anyways, it'd be a big train. But yeah, if you had a true infinite train, you would never know that it was infinite because you don't know. So it's like, there's another car. Is this ever gonna end? Well, no. If it's a circle, it's not gonna end. There's no end to it. All right. So yeah, your analogy doesn't work.
Of passenger cars, even if hypothetically there were an infinite number, which we avoid the logical impossibility of that.
Okay, you're gonna have to show that infinity is a logical impossibility, which you don't do here, but you'd have to show that. Infinity is a concept, okay? And the thing is, there isn't anything illogical about the concept or its application to reality. If there is a true infinite, the only problem in it would be that we would never know. We would never be able to say that something was truly infinite. So getting away from the train example, if you were in outer space and came upon a brick wall, very odd structure to come upon, but nonetheless, it's a brick wall. And it has a start, fair enough, but as you look, you see that the wall continues off into the distance as far as you can see. You grab your space binoculars and your telescope, and as far as you can look with your instruments, it still goes on. And you get your computer that has even better instruments, and it looks down and it sees, and you're like, okay, that's it. I jump my ship into sub warp drive, and you travel along the wall. Surely it's got to have an end, and you travel for a few months. You get tired of it. You're like, I just see more wall. And you go, well, I don't know how big it is, but it seems to go on indefinitely. And it could be that it ends, in a few light years. Or it could be that it keeps going forever. But you would never be able to actually proclaim that it goes on forever, because you would never reach the forever, because there is no end. From infinity to beyond, there is no beyond infinity. So you just keep going. And your train would just keep going if it was infinite. So, and there's nothing illogical with that. That's just how it works.
Even if you had an infinite number, whether you have 1, a million, or an infinite number of passenger cars, if they're moving, someone or something is moving them. So then you just need an infinitely powerful engine.
No.
You haven't gotten rid of the problem of the engine at all. So however you solve it, you have at the end of it have to have an engine, because
because that's how things move. But like I said, I can devise a train that isn't the sort of train. This analogy has nothing to do with anything.
A passenger car, if you want to put it this way, it's like a mover. Meaning this. That's kind of technical language. All it means is this. It's a mover. It's pulling the car behind it. It's doing a great job of that. But it doesn't pull itself. The explanation for its movement, we might say, is external. It's the car in front of it. If you want to say, why is this car moving? The most direct answer to that is the car in front of it is pulling it. But then you might say, well, why is that car moving?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, you have to get up to an unmoved mover. Now,
all right, now, since you're sticking with this analogy, I guess I have to talk about train engines. I wanted to talk about God, but no, now we have to talk about train engines. All right, fine. Let's see. All right. Oh my God. Diesel, known as diesel electric locomotives, engines use diesel fuel to generate electricity that powers the electric motors on the axles. Okay, so let's just go there. So the diesel fuel is required to get the engine to produce the energy that then moves the wheels. Okay, so the engine is moving the train. So is the engine the unmoved mover? Well, no. Because you need gas for the engine. So is the gas the unmoved mover? Whence is the unmoved mover here? Because you have to have energy to do work. That energy has to come from somewhere, but that somewhere still is reliant upon something else. So the energy in gasoline is converted into fire, that then converts into movement of steam, that then converts into other movement, that then turns to energy, that then moves the train. So is the engine the unmoved mover? Are the gears the unmoved mover? Is the fuel the unmoved mover? Where did the engine fuel come from? Well, deep in the ground, blah, blah. Like, how deep do we need to go into this to show that actually your analogy fails, because there is no unmoved mover? There is not a single point in the chain of things that are required to move things as we understand them that you can point to and say, that made that move on its own, because it needs other stuff. But screw physics. Who cares about reality? Let's get back to his video, shall we?
Unmoved mover, in this case, just means the explanation for why it's moving isn't external, like a car in front of it, it's internal, the engine to the engine car.
And the
That
gas to
engine,
the
that
engine.
internal explanation, explains not only why it's moving, but ultimately explains why every other car in the series is moving.
Well, no, it doesn't explain it in full because you'd have to explain the engine and how the engine works and all that. You know, I just went over all of that stuff. No. So, yeah, if you want to get simple and dumb, I guess, it's like, how does train work? Why make it go? Well, because it's got an engine in the train. Okay, cool. How does the engine work? Don't worry about it. Stop asking questions.
So imagine you went through all of that, and then your smart alecky passenger in the car says, aha, that special pleading, who's pulling the engine?
No, because you didn't make the same mistake as you did before. You said that the engine is pulling the train, which is consistent with how trains function. You didn't say that all the engines are the train and they're all pulling each other always. Or, I mean, your analogy is just what the fuck? A penguin walks into a bar and says to a bartender, I've been traveling all over the world looking for my brother. Have you seen him? The bartender leans in and asks, what does he look like? A penguin. It looks like a penguin. All right. Anyways, weird joke. Okay.
Now, hopefully, you realize they just don't understand the difference between a passenger car and an engine. They don't get the difference between a moved mover and an unmoved mover.
But you didn't give an example of the unmoved mover. You gave the example of a train engine, which does have many moving parts, which all require other things to make them move. So, like I said, is the diesel the unmoved mover of a diesel train? But then the diesel fuel needed the diesel engine to make it into energy. So which is the unmoved mover here? And you needed somebody to put the fuel into the engine. So are they the unmoved mover? And you need a driver for the train of the engine. Are they the unmoved mover? I mean, they supplied fuel to the engine of the train after all, and they are actually operating the controls of the train. So in your broken ass analogy, you need a mover for the unmoved mover to move it. And then that mover, who is a person, also needs things to survive, like food and water. So you're still not at an unmoved mover. And you never will be, because there's no example of an unmoved mover, because that concept, as far as I can tell, is the made up concept here. That concept requires special plating, because there is nothing that you can point to and go, there's an unmoved mover, because everything requires something else to move it. Everything, as far as we have ever observed, requires other stuff for it to do stuff. So your idea is based on the idea that you're not committing the very fallacy that you're committing, and you don't understand why you're committing it.
So that's one of the easiest explanations, I think, for explaining why we don't believe God has a creator. Because the whole point is unmoved mover. The whole point is to explain why anything exists, there has to be at least one thing, person, place, thing, being, one thing that doesn't have to be created, doesn't have to have.
That's your assertion, and it's been the assertions of apologists for a long time. and it's only specific to certain religions, because other religions are fine with multiple gods and gods creating gods. So other religions are fine with infinite chains of regression. Um, one lobster is all it takes, right? Exactly. So I had a thing prepared here for this. So we'll go to that. Go to old MS Paint. Never fails. Yes. So we have God and we have the universe. God made the universe. And you're saying, well, nothing made God. God's just always existed. Okay, so God is the unmoved mover, right? But I have a question. I have some questions here. Does God think? Does it think? Okay, well, how does it think? Well, it has no brain, so that's a problem. But we're going to ignore that. So God has a thought, right? I think, I'm gonna make a universe today. Maybe that's what's thought. I don't know. It had a long time to think about this. So I think X. Well, wait, but what made it think that? So before it thought that it thought, like, what did it do before that? I think that I think X, right? But before that, what did it do? In fact, it knows that it will think that. So it already knows that it's going to think that before it thinks that. This leads to an infinite regress of thoughts. So God is also stuck in infinite regress. Oops. I'm not the first one to comment on this or mention this either. So yeah, this is a infinite God thought problem. I forget what it's called. Um, let's see. Um, let's see. Okay. All right. Well, I can't find it right now. Well, whatever. If I find it, I'll put it in the comment or post. I'll do something if I find it. You'll see it in the description and or pinned comment. Anyways, doesn't matter. Anyways, but yes, this is an infinite regression still because you still don't have an unmoved mover because, well, okay, God is moving. Where is it moving in? If it has, how does that work? I don't know. How does it any of it work? That's the big problem. But okay, whatever. You're gonna ignore all that. Um, you're still saying that this is required for that this thing that's unlike anything else is required for this thing that you need things to move things in this universe, but this thing doesn't need that special pleading. There's no way out of it. All right. Anyways, let's get it out of there. All right, back to his train. He's making me go off rails with tangents.
Have some prior existing thing to explain its non-existence.
Why?
Because otherwise, you're left with an infinite number of passenger cars and nobody.
So what? And who cares?
To pull them.
Oh well.
And in that case, the passenger cars don't go anywhere.
Wrong. They always move forward. If you're pulling them, then they always move forward. If they're always being pulled or pushed, then they always move forward. Your analogy is broken. You're broken. This whole thing is broken. All right.
So that's one way to talk about it in terms of movement. Another way to talk about it using slightly different technical language is contingency. Now, what do I mean by contingency?
Okay, here we go. Here we go with the parts in the whole here we go with the parts in the whole fallacy, also known as the hold on. Parts in the whole. Come on, brain. Come on, brain. Fallacy of composition. Dang it, had to look it up. Okay. Fallacy of composition. Here we go. That's what he's gonna do.
Three things we have to get clear here. I think each of these three things is so self-evidently clear that you'll hear it and say, well, of course, that's undeniably true. The first thing, Everything and everyone that we encounter in the entire universe is contingent. Everyone.
All right. I already have problems with P1 there. If we're considering this as an argument, which I am, as a syllogism, we don't know that. We cannot make that statement. You've made a universal statement that is dishonest. The better way to frame this would, well, let me get a thing because I'm gonna get it in MS Paint to make it bigger because otherwise things, let's do that. All right. Okay. All right. So, yeah. You can't say this. You can't say everything. You cannot say that because we don't know about everything. We only know about what we have actually encountered. So, what you should say instead is, let's see, everything that we have encountered thus far is contingent. Maybe not quantum stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I'm including the quantum stuff because that might not actually be contingent because I actually care about being honest, unlike the apologist who doesn't need to worry about that because he knows he's got people that believe in God and they're all going to say, God bless, yes, in the comments. So, but yeah, so this is the actual way to frame it, saying everything that we've encountered thus far is contingent. All right, let's see how he ruins this good idea with more bad ideas of his own, and then I will try to fix them. Okay.
One you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard, tasted, touched, smelled.
Yeah, we get it. Next
is contingent. Contingent just means
we know what
exists
contingent
and didn't have to exist.
Uh-huh.
Or it exists and didn't always exist.
Uh-huh.
St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, I don't care what St. Thomas Aquinas said. Get to the next part. Skip. All right. Example, skip. Don't need the example. All right, here we go. All right, now we got to screenshot this and making it hard for me. Why you got to make it hard for me? Why? Why can't you make it easier? Contingent things need someone or something else to account for their existence. You didn't need to say that because that's contained in the word contingent. So premise 2 is unnecessary, and therefore we don't need it, and therefore we discard it. Next. All right. What's your next part? Not everything can be a contingent thing. Okay, well now, wait a minute. Why? This is asserted with that. This should be your conclusion, but you're now saying this as a premise? But that doesn't, wait, what? Why can't but if everything you encounter is contingent, wouldn't then the conclusion be that therefore the universe has to be contingent? Okay. And then that anything else would have to be contingent as well, right? Shouldn't that be if you want to stay consistent? Oh, you don't want to stay consistent. You want to use special pleading. Right. All right. Okay. So not everything is contingent. Okay. Even though everything we saw was contingent, not everything is contingent. Okay. So there can be at least one non-contingent thing. All right. Then the universe is not contingent. There you go. Problem solved. The universe had to exist. End of problem. Just assert that. I mean, might as well.
It's not only contingent things. Just like, how do we know it's not only passenger cars? Think about a Midwestern four-way stop. I say Midwestern because we're proud of our manners in driving. And this often means people will approach a four-way stop, and if you get there at roughly the same time, both people want the other person to go first. Now imagine a four-way stop where all 4 cars get there at exactly the same time, and every driver says, I'm not going to go first until somebody else goes. they're all contingent, right? Their driving is contingent upon one of the other drivers going first. Now, if all four of them decide that, bad news. Nobody's going anywhere, right?
Yeah. Your analogy is irrelevant, so whatever.
Because A is dependent on B.
Yeah, we get it. We understand what the word contingent means. So all you're doing is wasting our time with contingent. We know, we get it, okay?
Working out my own traffic trauma, but that's the basic idea. That if all of the players involved are contingent upon all the other ones, nothing ever happens.
Okay, yeah. We know what the word contingent means. Please move forward. Please. Okay, skip. Thomas Aquinas again, I don't care. Get back to your thing where you put the syllogism up there, or your thing that was attempting to be a syllogism. Does he ever do that? No, he doesn't. So he just uses, oh God. So he just uses Thomas Aquinas to wrap it up. Jeez, I guess I have to read what Thomas has to say then. What's he say? Therefore, if at one time nothing was in existence, we don't know that. Nobody makes that claim except for theists. It would have been impossible for things to have begun to exist. How do you know that? How do you know anything about nothing? We've never observed nothing. And thus, even now, nothing would be in existence. How do you know that? Which is absurd. How do you know that? Therefore, not all things are merely possible, but there must exist something, the existence of which is necessary. Yeah, Thomas was wrong about that. And so was this guy. He didn't present a valid or sound argument. 1 and 3 were in conflict. Well, the whole thing was completely incoherent. Appeals to pointless analogies that don't work, and appeals to just assertion and requirement of special pleading as always. Nothing new under the sun. But to me, the problem begins with this universal claim of everything. And no, you can't say everything. We don't know about everything. We only know what we know. So right here, that's your start of your problem. So get rid of that. You could maybe say everyone you encounter, but you haven't explored the universe, so you should change that to say world, right? In the earth. Well, it's not, it doesn't want to type right now. So you could say everyone we encounter is Then what you do, I thought he was going to do the parts and the whole fallacy, but he didn't. So I'm actually kind of surprised that he didn't go there. But that's in reference to the Kalam cosmological argument, where you say, well, this is true of the parts, that everything needs to be caused. It's like, yeah, that's true. But that doesn't mean that everything in the universe is that way. We don't know. It could be that somewhere in the universe there's something that has no contingency at all. I don't know. Could be. Not saying that it is. I'm just saying that there's nothing to negate that possibility. Just saying, no, it can't be that way. No, that's not good enough. As far as there being nothing, the only people that talk that seriously really think that the universe came from nothing tend to actually be the theists. But they just have a something that uses nothing. They have a God surrounded by nothing except for God. A universe of just God where nothing other than God exists. There is literally nothing but God. So God then uses God to make something else. But that's not the Judeo-Christian version of it. The Judeo-Christian version of it is ex nihilo, that God created from nothing. So there was God and there was nothing. So I'm not sure how you can have God and a nothing at the same time, but nonetheless, God used the nothing to make stuff from somehow. And that makes perfect sense to them, I guess. So I don't know. So yeah, it is 100% special pleading through and through, and also, of course, your first statement there is just malformed. You cannot talk about everything unless you've encountered everything. You just can't. Okay. So, yes, it's true that all the things that we have observed are contingent. You know, you and me are contingent. But then that does not follow that everything is. That's the part and whole, or the damn it, I just said the name of the argument or the fallacy. What is it? What is it? Why is my brain? Goodness gracious. Fallacy of composition. Fallacy of composition. How do you spell that? Maybe that's why I don't remember this thing, because I can't spell it. Fallacy of composition. One of these days I'm going to learn stuff. Not today. Or parts. I think it's just easier for my brain to remember parts in the whole than fallacy of composition. At any rate, so yes, you and I are contingent, but that doesn't then necessarily follow that everything is contingent, like the universe or other things in the universe. So yeah, that's the end of that. So the question of who made God is valid, and I'll tell you the answer. There you go. That's the answer. That humans made God. We made up God. That's it. That's it. We made that up. We made up the idea, as far as I can tell. And the reason that that's as far as I can tell is because so far I have not encountered empirical evidence, repeatable test, or a valid and sound argument for God. Definitely, this video doesn't offer any of those. And so for those reasons, we must be skeptical of the conclusion. And that's it. That's all I got for now. Be skeptical about things. Thanks for watching and commenting. Make sure to comment when this is a video, not just this in chat. It's great that you're in chat, but comment as a normal comment so that YouTube loves me. And that I know that you love me. Or maybe you appreciate me. I don't know. Leave a comment. Tell me how you feel about me. That will be an interesting comment section. What was it I was going to look up and put in the thing? I don't remember anymore. Oh, yeah, the infinite God thing. Okay, I'm going to find that. All right, that's it. Fin.